Hello everyone, this is Robert Aldana with the Facebook page, the My Beach Towns Facebook page, the publisher, and I have the author with me.
Hello.
One of the authors at My Beach Towns, the Facebook page. If you've never been there, it's facebook.com/mybeachtowns, or you can just go to mybeachtowns.com. We have Brandy Jones with David Ling Real Estate, and I am again Robert Aldana with American Dream Real Estate, and we happen to do business in Santa Cruz and Scotts Valley, all over the area. And what we're doing is we're going to give you a report on what's going on with the real estate market right now, the third quarter versus what happened in the first half. And I know, Brandy, you got some awesome stats over what happened, late last year versus what's going on right now. Break it down for me. What's happening with the real estate market right now in Santa Cruz? Where are you?
Well, starting a year ago in the fourth quarter 2014, we actually had a pretty strong ending, but going into the first quarter of 2015, we actually dropped by 5%. But there was a big push into the second quarter, which gave us a 13% increase in our average price. And now that we are just finishing with the third quarter, we've actually dropped by 2%.
Interesting. Okay.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I do believe, when the Feds announced they might be addressing the interest rates, it stopped things. But, from 13 down 2%,
Yeah.
it's an interesting swing.
Okay, so right now, as it stands in the Santa Cruz beach towns, and we'll get to Scotts Valley in a minute, but as it stands for the Santa Cruz beach towns being, Capitola, Santa Cruz, Aptos, SoCal, pretty much all the beach towns in Santa Cruz County. Right now, what's the more or less average list price to sales price right now?
Average list price and sales price, well, our average third quarter sales price was $977,000. And what's interesting, in our last month of September, we actually were about 36% pending of our listings, and we have dropped 32%. So it's an interesting dynamic to see what's going on with our market. However, in the last quarter, our top sales price was $5,333,000 down in La Selva Beach.
That's it?
I know.
That's probably a pretty nice house.
Right.
Okay, so you have a pretty fair amount of inventory right now in the Santa Cruz beach towns right now. Would you agree?
Yeah. We do have a fair amount of inventory. It's, like I said, it's around 32% of it's pending. That goes back to our last video where I said there is definitely an opportunity to get some properties in contract for less than what the seller's asking for.
Yeah, so there's definitely a little bit more of a, in terms of the sales price to list price ratio, the first half versus where we are in the third quarter, there's definitely just a tad bit lower sales price to list price ratio in the Santa Cruz beach towns, much the same as it is in Scotts Valley. For example, right now there's about 50 homes on the market, being the beginning of October, the end of August, which pretty much the same. There was about 50 homes on the market also. 32% of our homes right now in the Scotts Valley area are pending versus 36% that was in late August, which is a 4% difference. 4% difference. The average list price of unsold home is about $1,078,000, which the average list price of a contingent and pending sales, which basically means these are the homes that have already went in contract. They're going through the whole escrow process, inspections, financing. The average contingent and pending list price is about $953,000. The average condo list price for active is $429,000. So you can get a really nice 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo in Scotts Valley still for between $425,000 to $460,000 in that price range. Of course, you can go higher depending on what you're looking for. Some of the properties on Bluebonnet, some of the newer condominiums on Bluebonnet, the 2-bedroom, 2-baths are going up to $500,000 and maybe even a little bit more. The pending market right now, contingent and pending condo market, interestingly enough, is $475,750, which is telling me that the higher priced condominiums are selling a little bit quicker because probably some of the features that they have are a little more desirable than the lower priced ones. Your thoughts?
Well, there's a trend that's happening in all sectors of our market, and in the next 24 months, you're really going to start seeing millennials push into this. And condos are definitely, believe it or not, statistics that fit some of these millennials or even the baby boomers that are retiring, because they're exiting our market, and a condo is perfect. You can have all the amenities. You don't have to make the repairs like the baby boomers might have for the last 25 years on their home. And it's as you know, Scotts Valley has so many great amenities around town that the condos in this area, I think they're very well situated for the Scotts Valley people.
Let's talk about townhouses. Townhouses, for a lot of people ask me all the time, what's the difference between a condo and a townhouse? With a condominium, you usually just own the airspace. So basically you own that part of the condominium. And that's why many times you'll see in condominiums, you have somebody above you or below you. That's why you can't own the land, because there's going to be someone below or above you. And a townhouse, you actually happen to own the land, even though you can't really do much with the land, but that is one of the differences. And typically and generally, townhouses tend to have a little bit more square footage and a few more amenities that are closer to a single family home than they are to a condo, versus just a condo being more, you know, a one story, and on occasion they'll have 2 stories.
Financing on a townhome is much easier than on a condo, so that's a very important point when you're representing somebody or you're thinking about something like that.
You're always coming up with better ones than me. How does that happen? The average townhouse list price right now, the active average list price for a townhouse is $615,000, and the average contingent and pending townhouse list price is about $609,000. So that's really not that big of a deal. Now let's talk about what's going on with the sales price to list price ratio in the third quarter. The sales price to list price ratio, and what I mean by that is, for example, whatever the seller is asking for the home, the sales price to list price ratio basically means how much they got on asking price. So on this particular situation, the ratio is at 98%. So that means that that people who have sold their home in the third quarter of 2015 got about 98% of what they were asking for, which is actually about 4% lower than the whole first half of 2015, when it came in at a very crisp 102% of the list price is what people were getting. So people were averaging 2% over asking price the first half of the year. Days on market is about 35 the third quarter versus 28, so it's a whole week difference. But again, it isn't that big of a deal. It isn't that big of a difference when you really think about it and break it down, because you know the actual first half was just like was white hot on fire. White hot is about as hot as it gets. The third quarter is becoming a little bit more of a normal type of a market as we head into the holiday season. Tell me about Santa Cruz.
You know, Santa Cruz has, well, when you're taking list price to sales price ratios, we have everything, as you can tell. We just talked about a $5 million property versus things. Our lowest average, actually our lowest price that we sell in the Santa Cruz Beach Towns area is $355.
Okay.
So we can get pretty low. So in that, our first quarter, a really good sign is that we were at 100%.
That's awesome.
So our first 2 quarters, and now we are at 97.9. So we're at 98% too right now. But again, that's 32% of our market is at 98%. It's very interesting. We see different sectors moving. The 800,000 price range is the hottest price range. You would think.
No doubt. Scotts Valley, same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's you know, I don't know if it's just you get more, you know, more for that price. You get bigger square footage. It seems to be the real hot spot.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what's interesting about that is the 829,000 right now. 829,000 will buy you a 3 to 4 bedroom, 1,900 and some odd square feet with about 16,808 foot lot. What would that buy you? What would a $829,000 home buy you in Santa Cruz?
Well, in Santa Cruz, unfortunately, it's too hard to say. We have so many different micro neighborhoods. I know Scotts Valley.
Excellent point. Yes.
Scotts Valley has top school districts for sure, and you have very nice neighborhoods, but we probably have 21 different major categories of neighborhoods. So it really would be, where do you want to land? And then we could break it down.
That's a great point. Yeah, absolutely. The average sales price in the third quarter in Scotts Valley, now here's a big one here. The average sales price in Scotts Valley in the third quarter is $829,033 versus $938,626 the first half of the year. That's almost $110,000 drop in average sales price. But let's make sure that we're clear on this. We're not saying that the average sales price, I'm sorry, we're not saying that the property that was worth $900,000 or $950,000 is now worth $840,000 because it dropped to $110,000. Not what we're saying at all. What we're saying is, seems like the lower price homes are the ones that are selling more nowadays. And if you look at some of the homes over $1 million, a lot of those are sitting on the market a little bit longer than normal. Again, there are some particular type neighborhoods where they're being snatched up pretty fast, but as a whole, the $1 million plus price range in Scotts Valley has cooled off just a bit.
I think that is also an excellent point. As a consumer, when you're out there and you hear these statistics, and we have said a couple of times that this is a great time to be a buyer, we are also advocating that this is a good time to be a seller. And the place where the buyers are pushing right now is the $800,000 price range. And that $1 million price range, yes, it's going to sell eventually, but you as the seller have to be okay with there may be some time on the market. or you may have to consider, that this isn't necessarily the market that you're going to get the maximum amount, because in both of our areas, I see some pricing that is not fair to the seller because somebody allowed them to price it probably 20% over market value.
Yeah.
And that's hard for a consumer because you're wondering, why is this one's priced this way and this one's selling at that? So if you have any questions regarding specific neighborhoods, definitely let us know, because we can help you understand the real value of a home when it's on the market.
Absolutely. Hey folks, that's pretty much your snapshot on what's going on in the third quarter. Anything else you want to add for the third quarter in Santa Cruz County and also in Scotts Valley? That's pretty much a snapshot of what's going on. What do we expect coming up this next and this last quarter, the fourth quarter of 2014? I think we're going to expect more of the same in certain areas, but as we get closer and closer and closer to like Thanksgiving and Christmas, that's when you're going to have those few weeks when things are going to slow down quite a bit more. But right now, there's some great deals, Brandy. There's some really nice houses for sale right now that had they been on the market the first part of the year, they would have been snatched up like in a matter of seconds and with numerous multiple offers.
I agree. And the final note I want to say on our little snapshot here is interest rates are still low.
Yeah,
and
they're awesome.
They're not supposed to be going up. So it's still good pricing for lending.
Absolutely. In fact, I'm hearing some talk that they may be coming down a little bit more in the near future just because of what's going on with the world economy. But that's something that, obviously another show for another day. But yeah, rates are pretty awesome and pretty solid. Anytime you're sitting between, 4% or 3.75 to 4.25%, those are pretty solid interest rates. Those are pretty good rates. So, all right. Hey, I want to thank you all for watching this short segment. Brandy, as always, thank you for your intelligence, for your homework that you always do. You're always prepared. Thank you for all the information you provided. Thank you folks for watching. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, you want to shoot me an email, just email me, robert@robertaldana.com. I am Robert Aldana with American Dream Realty, and we have
Brandy Jones with David Ling Real Estate.
Have an awesome day, everyone, and thanks for watching.
Thank you.